Hello, Hayley. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, Maddie. How are you?
Yeah, I'm grand. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't full name you. Sorry, Hayley Jepson, as it should be.
Yes, it's Maddie Cook.
Thank you. So today I'm going to put you in the hot seat because I think this is a Jepson special, this particular topic. And just to kind of preface it, so I am buzzing that in terms of like marketing, social media, we're finally seeing a nice shift from the very polished, curated, the perfect grid, not a hair out of place, because that's like that life ain't for me. And I
Do
think
you
it's
remember the
maybe with
perfect grid?
I don't think I've ever had the perfect. Oh, you try and have like three
God,
in a
I
row, and then
did.
you
Yeah.
posted one, and you were like, no, my three's been all knocked out.
It's
What a
ruined.
stressful time. Yeah. Oh, what a pain. Or you do like a quote in the middle. Actually, yeah, we did that. We do like hair
I did
quote
all of that.
hair,
I did
all of the
all of
above.
that.
Very like 2016. But I think it's maybe with like the, obviously TikTok's huge. We're seeing this like TikTok style Instagram stories, people doing lives in their dressing gown, people put their makeup on, drying their hair when they're doing stuff,
Yeah.
sat in the car. We love all this type of
Mm.
content. Um, but what I'm starting to notice is, and I think this is something you've said before with things, is we see this pendulum swing. Like we go, okay, that's good. Let's go to this like extreme side of it. Um, are you seeing this? Are you picking up what I'm putting down first and foremost?
Yes. Yeah. I think this is because we're laughing about the perfect grid, which was very whatever, I don't know, 216 or whatever. But we weren't talking on videos and stuff then, were
Yeah,
we? You know, being authentic with your perfect grid and all of that. It's like whatever. But now we're very face to camera. Video
yeah,
is massive now, isn't it? Reels and everything's bigger than photos and all of that, which really means you've got to show up and talk to the camera. And I
yeah,
suppose, that's terrifying for some people.
yeah,
And for some people, it feels great turning up in the dressing gown and having a chat. But for other people, they might be maybe emulating that, like trying to be like that,
yeah, yeah,
like thinking, oh,
yeah,
I should be more like them in my dressing gown having a rant, but that's not
yeah.
very them, And so
Yes,
I think it's
yeah,
a really
agreed.
interesting to talk about, you know, what is authentic showing up
Yeah,
online.
yeah,
Yeah, because in your dressing gown having a rant in a car is authentic for some, but for someone else, turning up fully made up, talking to camera in good lighting is more authentic for them.
yeah.
So yeah, it's
Very true.
interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah.
How are you seeing this show up, Maddie? Like, what do you think?
So I see it where I might have like coaching clients or people in my group who are like, oh, I'm thinking about putting this post on because I've had a cancellation. So I'm going to tell them about how I can't pay my bills. I can't feed my
Yeah.
kids because of no shows. And I've seen some quite extreme versions of that where people are, I guess it's this thing of like, when does authenticity become oversharing?
Mm-hmm.
And what are things that maybe clients and followers don't need to know? Like, where is that line? So it's like
Yeah.
they're doing this, and it's like, did clients need to know that you can't feed your children and you're really upset about this? Or maybe was there something that we could have done to not, in the
Yeah. Well,
background to not get to there?
there's,
Yeah.
there's a lot going on, isn't there? Where somebody thinks that's their best option.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
complex for me that somebody thinks their best option is to turn up and say, because showed I now can't feed my kids. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
something's going on in someone's thought process that's a good option, or the
Yeah.
smartest one available. I
Yeah.
see quite a lot of I mean, I follow a lot of hairdressers, obviously,
Yeah.
and beauty people, but I follow a lot of everybody, all sorts of accounts. But there's a real shift towards people sharing more of their personal lives, isn't there now? And I
Hmm.
sometimes see people um, crying, talking
Hmm.
online, talking about something that's often very fresh. And as a mental health, a former real mental health worker, I find it troubling
Yeah.
quite a lot. You know,
Yeah.
I do. I just think, oh, what's happening here? That this is the
Yeah.
best option we've got.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have lots of thoughts about it, Maddie. To be fair,
Well, I'm glad you
I,
do because that makes
you
the
know,
podcast much easier. Um, Well, it's interesting from like your perspective as like a mental health professional, like previous psychotherapist. Like, what do you see as like the, I guess, the motivation, the intention when it comes to going that far, like veering into this oversharing, and maybe what should people be thinking if they're there and they're like, right, this is how I'm going to show up online. What would you maybe urge them to think about or consider?
There's like so many things, isn't there? But I'm a bit like, let's take someone, let's say you're a hairdresser and this is your
Mm-hmm.
business account, you know, and you're thinking about making a video about how you can't afford your kids, you feed your kids because of rising costs and people no showing or something like that. I'd really be thinking about who's going to be watching, like
Mm-hmm.
who's going to see this, you know? And I think sometimes people, I used to call it something like telling off the whole class instead of the naughty kid.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we, instead of just saying to one person, this isn't acceptable, we kind of put out these, I call it passive aggressive messages,
Mm-hmm.
where you sort of tell off everyone
Mm-hmm.
instead of the one person, and they're probably not even watching, you know. But I think
Yeah.
you've really got to think about who's going to see this,
Yeah.
and it's going to be there and people might share it. You know, there's all sorts that can happen when you
Yeah.
put something out in an emotional state, you know, it lives on. And I
Yeah.
think you've really got to think about, where is this coming from? You know, what's going on in your head? I think often when people make videos when they're crying and they're, you know, upset and or angry or whatever in the
Mm-hmm.
moment, they've probably been let down. They're
Mm-hmm.
definitely highly emotional. I think sometimes it's passive aggressive in the way that they're angry and they're not being direct with who they're angry with. So they're doing it in this roundabout way of, I'm going to tell off the class, you know.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I think what I've coached people quite a lot who have been thinking about doing this. And I
Mm.
always just say this, like, what are you hoping for by doing this? Like, what are you hoping is going to happen when you post this video? And when
Yeah.
we talk that through, often people realize what they hope for probably isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
And the air kind of comes out of it. And then we sort of think about better ways they can solve whatever issue it is that they're having. But I think
Mm-hmm.
it's a real knee jerk reaction in the moment, you know, and
Yeah.
people think, I'm going to vent, and they probably feel quite, what's the word? It's the principle. You know, they're
Yeah.
really angry about the
I'll show
principle
you.
of something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and all of that stuff. And so, yeah, that's what I think about that.
Yeah. And I think you just, well, the earlier point you said about the telling off the whole class, when you said, oh, the person who it's aimed at doesn't even see it. And
Yeah.
also a bunch of people who see it thinks it's about them. And then they go, oh,
Oh,
sorry, I cancelled 6 months ago. I can't, you can't feed your kids. So now I'm so guilty. And then
yeah.
it's like
I
double
did
bubble,
offer
isn't
to
it?
pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, your very
Yeah.
conscientious clients will feel bad.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe even think you were talking about them and feel a bit put off.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this person that's driving you mad probably isn't watching
Probably
your
doesn't.
stories,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
So it's like a
And
double
that's
whammy, really.
all. Yeah, but also, what do they say? It's something like, oh, it's something ridiculous, like 25% of your audience watch your stories. It's like, not,
Oh, yeah.
you're in, they're not. Like, your stories is not the best way to get
Hmm.
information out, is it? You
Yeah.
know, a video, people are not seeing all your content. So it's, apart from that, it won't work because a lot of people won't see it, you know?
It's
And
ineffective
so stuff like,
marketing.
it's an effective way to put your boundaries in, really, I
Oh,
think, you
yeah,
know.
I get that.
Yeah.
And what have you seen as like the downsides? What maybe things that people like don't even expect or consider because they're so, like you say, they're in this emotional state. It is usually this real like knee jerk. I'm upset. I'm hurting. I'm let down. I'll show you. I need people to see how upset I am. What we don't tend to think, I guess, very logically in that point of like what's going to be the repercussion of that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
what do you see as those?
I see all sorts of things as well, you know. So there's people like putting their boundaries in, or, you know, attempting to put the boundaries in by, you know, being angry and all that sort of stuff. But there's also people talking about their mental health. I see that
Mm-hmm.
quite a lot online, you know, and people are anxious or stressed or struggling. and and also, and it's very in the moment. And I
Mm.
think sometimes what can happen, and people don't see this coming, is when you talk about something you're struggling with. But I think this happens just stood behind the chair, to be honest. But it's essentially this: when you share about something you're struggling with, people think that's an invitation for them to tell you all about when that happened to them as well. And so,
Yeah.
for example, if you talk about, um,
I've got an example actually that's popped into my
go
head.
on,
So when I share about I stopped drinking in 2019, and when I share anything about, like how many years, 3 years, 4 years, I will get messages from people telling me about like the depths of addiction, like
yeah,
massive struggles they've had,
yeah,
people who they've lost to
yeah,
alcoholism, and it's like,
yeah,
oh, okay, I'm kind of inviting a conversation of like, oh, you're talking
yeah,
about sobriety, I can tell you about this person
yeah.
who died of liver failure or addiction
All
or
of this.
something.
And
Mm.
like when you're talking about drinking, you're talking about this is something I used to do. You're not
Yeah,
showing up online saying this is something I'm struggling with now. But
yeah, I
let's
talk about I
imagine
am
you were.
sober. Yeah, yeah,
I am
yeah.
sober, this is this. And nobody,
Hmm.
you're not talking about old Maddie or,
Yeah.
and you're not, this isn't happening to you now. But let's imagine it was Maddie. Let's imagine
Hmm.
you were sharing about your struggle with sobriety
Hmm.
now. I
Yeah,
mean, I don't know tons about that part.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was a while before I met you. But like, let's imagine you were struggling in your
Yeah.
sobriety and sharing that online, and
Mm.
then you got those messages.
Yeah, that
That
would
would
be
feel
so hard.
different.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be harder than now when that's not
Hmm.
as raw for you. So when you share
Totally.
something that's raw in the moment, and then people come and they want to empathize in one way, but also they think, oh, this is someone I can talk about this with, and then start telling you their story.
Hmm.
People can be like, I can't hold all these people up. I can't even
Hmm.
hold myself up. But
Yeah.
people think social media is a conversation. And so when you talk about something, people want to talk about it with you back. And
Hmm.
so I think that can weigh quite heavy for people. If you're
Yeah.
talking about something like, I feel depressed, I'm having panic attacks, I've just got divorced, and then you start hearing about everybody else's, that can be very overwhelming.
Yeah.
I think also, imagine, Maddie, if you started getting loads of advice about how to stop drinking.
Yeah,
Like,
see,
how
there's so
annoying would
much.
that be?
Yeah, people
I
posting
think,
like a medical thing, or like, oh,
oh, yeah.
my kid's got this particular rash, and then you get like Dr. Google in your inbox, like,
Oh, it's all
oh,
happening. So when you
yeah,
talk about something that you're struggling with, be prepared for the unsolicited advice gang to start
yeah,
preaching at you.
hmm,
And people who might want to start judging you or making decisions, or, the more you share, the more people are good. People, and the bigger it is, the bigger the responses can be.
yeah,
People can be really angrily disappointed and judging you, or just
hmm,
really annoying and passionate. It might come from a good place from them, their advice, but it
hmm,
can, if you didn't ask for it, it doesn't feel very good. And so I think, when you share personal things online, people are doing all sorts of things. Some people are judging you. Some people feel bad for you. Some people want to give you advice. Some people will come and trauma dump on you. All sorts of things will happen. And some people might be thinking, oh, I don't know if I want to work with this person. They seem to be
yeah,
struggling. So I think there's lots of things that can be happening around that,
hmm,
and things I would be considering with this sort of authenticity stroke oversharing. It depends. I mean, I from a mental health point of view, I'm more of a fan of talk about it when you've figured out what you've learned. Like for me,
yeah, hmm,
so I struggled with depression for a long time, and if I have a low mood day now, I wouldn't show up online talking about it. What it would do for me was inspire how I would think about how I managed to pull myself out of it, and then I would post about that.
yeah,
I would post about the solution,
yeah,
and so I think things like that's how I think about my authenticity, because I
hmm,
want to be a help for mental health. It's not about my story; it's about my followers' story. I don't want
Yeah.
my account to necessarily be about mine, but when
Yeah.
you're sharing lots of your personal, that's how that goes, isn't it? Um,
Yeah.
but I think what I find a little bit worrying as well, and again, this comes from, my mental health training and stuff, is I see a lot of people sharing stuff online about their experience around all sorts of stuff, like you said, getting sober,
Mm-hmm.
depression, mental health, anxiety, IVF experience, all sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, I'm sharing this to raise awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yeah, that does, it's commendable and it raises awareness when you share your story sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not necessarily advice or constructive help.
Yeah.
It's just, this is my experience. And I think the best that can happen with that is that someone will connect with it and think, oh, that's what's going on with me. But I
Mm-hmm.
think if you want to raise awareness about something, I might think about adding to your post, and this is where I'm getting help.
Yeah.
Here's a book that I read that gave me some help. Like, just the sharing bit, it doesn't move anyone else's journey along.
Mm-hmm.
They can see themselves in it, but that's it. And I think that continuous sharing will only get people so far. And so I think you've got to start adding to it. And this is what I would do next. Like, this is what I did next.
Yeah.
For me, when I talk about mental health, I was a psychotherapist. I've got lots of things I can draw on. Whereas if I
Mm-hmm.
was talking about me, I would then talk about what works for me, books I've read, therapy, things I learned. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it's this. I think just simply sharing your experience to help others, it does a bit, but I think we've really got to move things along
Yeah.
into
And
what's next.
yeah. And like you said,
Yeah.
it's the cautionary tale of like, if you're in that moment, are you then in a place to deal with the unsolicited advice, the DMs, the
The
trauma
200
jumping?
messages you might get,
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Exactly.
all of this, it's
Yeah.
a conversation whether you like it or not when you put it on
Yeah.
social media. Like our mate Viv says, it's a party. Are you going to
Yeah.
join in? And if you
Yeah.
start talking about this at a party, people are going to talk back.
Yeah.
They're going to start saying what they think, and
Yeah.
you might not be in a place to receive what they think. And so I think this, for me, I think there's been a lot of people pushing people to be authentic, but
Mm-hmm.
then it's pushing them to be authentic like they are, which then isn't
Mm.
authentic.
No.
It's not. If you're not someone who wants to show up without your makeup on,
Mm-hmm.
putting it on, or with your dressing gown on, with your stains down that's not very me.
Yeah.
I'm not that person. I put my face on a couple of days a week and make all my videos in them days. It's
Yeah.
not for me, but I understand how for some people, if they feel comfortable making videos in the dressing gown, that makes it easier for them to show up.
Yeah.
And
That's
that's
true.
authentic to them. But authenticity isn't oversharing. That is the
Yeah.
point. There's a big difference. And I
Yeah.
think there's this forced authenticity that then isn't authentic, is the point, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think there's some part of it as well that's because of social media. It's almost like people, and we see this not just in this part of marketing, but people go to extremes. If you think of TikTok, like you want to get engagement. So I think sometimes people are like, not necessarily to get engaged. Maybe some do, I don't know, but maybe it gets people to share more and more in a more extreme way, because it's like, oh, or maybe they felt supported because lots of people liked it, or lots of people DM'd them, and that feels a bit like a slippery slope for me of like, and again with social media, once it's out there, it's out there. You can't put it back. Like, it's out.
Yeah, no.
You know,
Even if you take it down, someone's already saved it, shared it,
screen grabbed it. Yeah.
screen grabbed it. All that stuff is
Oh,
happening. And so,
yeah,
yeah, it's really tough, isn't it? I think.
yeah.
I think
So
it's
what?
hard. And I think, when you're running a business, though, you're being encouraged more and more to show up and talk to camera and share a
Yeah,
bit of
be
yourself. And it's
yourself.
like, well,
Yeah,
which bits am I sharing,
yeah, yeah. And it's like, it's
Yeah.
okay to like I people always comment that I'm really similar when they meet me in real life to how I am on the internet, and that's nice, and I think it's a
Mm,
compliment to be authentic. But there's also
yeah,
like there are you are different people to different people. Like how I am with my best friend wouldn't be how I am with um like a granny or something. Do you know what I mean? Like there's different, you might swear loads to one and be like, I'll be on a bit good behavior.
yeah,
So you can sort of
yeah.
go,
There's
okay, this is my,
versions of you.
yeah, that's it.
And it's all,
Versions,
I
yeah.
think it's fine that as well. I
Yeah,
People say I'm exactly like I am, and I think
yeah.
that's all right. And for me, I'm not pouring it all out there, warts and all
No.
on online. That's just not for my business. That doesn't feel safe or smart, and
Yeah.
safe as in for other people, really. I think I want it to be about other people's experience. As a therapist, you're like, you don't bring yourself into it.
Hmm.
It's to encourage other people, and I've really brought that into how I think and present things. I always want it to be about what other people think about what I say, not about
Hmm.
my experience
Yeah.
and what I'm
And
doing.
even as a marketer, that's the point. It's about the person. It's about the reader. It's not about us. So it's not for us to be like
Yeah,
opening our wounds and gushing out and being like, oh God, this is what's going on. It's,
yeah,
especially from a business,
yeah,
from like a business social media perspective, it's about your followers. It's about your
yeah.
clients. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true. I mean, it's if I share something about myself and then ask people about them, what they usually do is just say comment on mine and
Yeah.
don't answer the question about themselves. And so
Yeah.
I really spend a lot of time keeping the focus on whoever's reading,
Yeah.
which is just the opposite of what some people are doing, isn't it? Because their
Yeah.
profile's more about themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that.
Mm,
So, I was going to say final. Where's Final Thoughts from? Is that Ricky Lake or no? It's not.
I think
Who's
it's
Jerry
Ricky
Springer?
Lake. Is
Or
it
was
Jerry
it?
Springer?
Yeah. So now it's
It
time for
is
Hurley
Jerry
Jeffson's
Springer.
final thought. He'd give a very like to camera, deep and meaningful.
I'll
So
put
kind of have
my
your Jerry Springer style. We'll do both of our final thoughts.
I'm going to do a head tilt and get full on therapist. I think if you're thinking about ranting or, you know, making a video where you're very upset or any of these sorts of things in the moment, I would really take the time to talk to someone in real life about it first who can
Yeah.
process it with you.
Yeah.
Just think about that.
Yeah.
Um, I think, go on,
Yeah.
you go.
So I think like back to what we said about the being authentic, like it does make it easier to show up online when you find your authentic self, not I saw this person doing this, that worked for them. So I think it's being really reflective on, does this feel in alignment with me genuinely, and kind of everything that you said before about are there repercussions to this? Am I too fresh in this space kind of thing? But yeah, actually think about what's
Mm.
authentic to you, not what looked authentic that another person that you are, influenced by or whatever is doing.
Yeah, authentic doesn't mean spilling your guts.
Yeah,
That's not what
that's
authentic
it. Yeah,
means. It just
yeah,
means being yourself.
yeah.
And I think that got a bit confused somewhere, doesn't it? I have a
Hmm.
really favourite saying that is from Brené Brown, and
Yeah,
this is what I say to everyone, and this is how I operate, which is share the scar, not the wound. And what I'm
love.
seeing, what we're talking about, is people sharing the wound.
Mm,
And like I said, I struggled with depression for a long time. Sometimes my mood's not brilliant now, and I don't share that in the moment. I share what I learn. I share the
yeah,
scars and the lessons that I'm learning. And so I think that's a really smart thing to do. And Brené Brown talks about who has the privilege of knowing your stories. Not everyone has the
yeah,
privilege of hearing your stories. And so when you put something out online, you don't get to choose who has the privilege,
yeah,
because you want people who are going to take care of your stuff when you tell them.
yeah. Absolutely.
I
And,
love
and sadly, we've
Brené. She
seen
says some,
that. We love her.
yeah. Oh, she
She's a
says some
babe.
smart stuff.
But yeah,
Smart
we've
stuff.
seen, sadly, like I think that's a really nice way to put it, that it's a privilege, because I've seen it like weaponized against people, and where it's been totally used against someone because they've shared, maybe even one time one thing, and then that's what they're known for afterwards, or that's what's like
Yeah,
they're labeled as like
yeah,
this type of person or the type of person who does this, and it's hard to shake sometimes. Like it's, for
yes,
better or worse, people are
yeah.
gonna do that.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel anxious when I see people sharing as it's going on. I feel anxious for them when I watch it because
I
I just
bet.
think, I wonder how you're going to feel on the other side of that. That's how I always
Yeah,
feel when
yeah,
I'm watching
I
it.
get that.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I think when you were saying before about it happening in the moment, whenever I'm like in that triggered state, when I think I'm gonna post this and like just you wait, I'm gonna show you, because it happens to the best of us. Just have a sleep on it. Like you always say that if I'm ever like in a fettle, you're like, go sleep, see how you feel tomorrow.
Yeah.
And 99 times out of 100, it's like I feel so different about it, and I'm so glad that I hadn't bulldozed and done what I initially intended to do in that moment.
I think me, you, Emma, and Viv are really good at doing this with each other, actually. Sometimes, like,
Yeah,
we're our support network, aren't we? And sometimes,
yeah,
if one of us is mad about something or whatever, and we come asking for advice, generally all of us say, give it a minute,
just wait.
see how you
Yeah,
feel in a day, have a
yeah,
little think. And I just think a little bit of space between the emotion and the response is where all the power is. If you can just create a
totally.
little bit of space between your
Yeah,
feeling and your response, things will be better. If you feel,
it's a
if you want
game
to post that
changer.
rant the next day, that's up to you. But I'd have a little think,
Yeah,
have a little
that's
chat
why
with
I love
someone trustworthy.
this is why I love the Chimp Paradox by Steve Peters, because that's all of this is like the respond, don't react, and knowing this, I guess, the neurological or whatever it is process of trigger where it comes to, it's just like bam, I'm raging, this is what I'm going to do. And
Mm-hmm,
yeah, it's creating that
mm-hmm.
little gap to go,
The
okay, I'm
gap,
just going to take a breather, maybe I
yeah.
don't want to do what I
It's so
initially wanted to
interesting.
do.
Yeah, in loads of things. Like I taught a leadership class last year, and one of the things that everybody said they took away was to pause between responding
Yeah,
as leaders. And they were like, that's the biggest thing I took away from this. And I was like,
yeah,
wow, that's so
it's
funny that
huge.
that's the big thing that you walked away with that was been a game changer. But it
Yeah,
is a little bit of a gap, a bit of a
yeah,
pause. It solves a lot of
the
problems.
magic.
It does. It does.
Perfect. Well, thank you for this. I've really loved picking your brains. It's been a very
Oh,
good
I
to
love
chat about, I
answering
think.
questions, Maddie. It's like my favourite way to spend the day.
This is how we'll do it. I'll interview you. You're Jerry Springer, but for some reason I'm interviewing you.
Oh, I love
So,
answering questions. It's my favourite thing. It was like I was on your
yeah,
podcast today. It was great.
yeah.
Should we do some hyper focuses, Maddie?
Yeah. Well,
What
I'm
have you got?
thrilled to announce this is not really a hyper focus, but I guess an extension of a previous convo. So, do you know, I was in my time warp and I got into Ugg boots. And I think
Yes.
this was like I don't know, a week or two ago. And there's a particular style that I wanted. I
Mm,
am not kidding, Haley. I have bought them 4 times on the UGG website. They've taken the money and then they've refunded me because they've said there's none left. Then I bought them on the office website. The same thing happened. And now I'm going to show you them for anyone who's
are
watching on
they on your
YouTube.
feet?
Look at these. How cute.
Which colour?
They're like little
They're the ones
little
I thought
slippery
you'd
things.
got. Yeah.
And I want to shout out our good friend and client Tammy, because we've been chatting about this
Oh,
pair in the DMs.
has Tammy got a pair? I bet hers are
Tammy's got
grey
a
or
pair.
black. What colour
I
she got?
don't. Oh, I'm not sure. I have a feeling it might be like in black and white that I saw it, so I'm not sure. But Tammy, I know Tammy listens, so tell us
Mm,
the goss.
yeah, I
But
need to know what colour she's got. I feel she's got
I'm
black or
just
grey.
yeah. There's a nice dark grey one. There's a nice dark brown. I think
Mm,
Office have some like pink ones, whatever. So they're
mm,
very new to me, but they're going to be the hyper focus because it was so hard to get them. I was just obsessed. So really my hyper focus was the
yeah.
chase of the Uggs.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
Getting them
now I've got
down.
them. Yeah,
Are they
I've got
changing
them. I've
your
got them.
life?
They're luxurious. I was going to wear them today, but the weather's not been very good. And Aidan was like, I don't think they're rain shoes, so maybe don't wreck them, because he knows they'll be very sad if I come in and
Yeah,
they're
they're not northern rain
mangled.
shoes, are they? That's what I think about
Not
everything
really,
that's
no.
suede. I just think I live in
Yeah,
Manchester. Why am I buying anything suede?
they're not.
You need a good
They should just be
waterproof
banned
spray.
in Manchester.
I
Yeah, I
know we
do.
don't
I
have
need.
suede in Manchester. I've got a
I
really
don't
good
know.
waterproof spray. I'll send you a screenshot of it. It's amazing.
Oh,
Us
thrilling.
Manchester folk have got really good waterproof
Yeah,
sprays
you're the people to go
for
to. You have
everything.
loads of
Yeah.
you have loads of parkers, don't you? Because you just have loads of like waterproof clothes.
I just have summer parkers, winter parkers, spring parkers. I've just have lots of versions of
I love
parkers,
it.
Maddie.
It's
That's
like
how
the
you know you're
Manchester
a Mancunian.
uniform.
Yeah, that's the Manchester uniform. Absolutely is.
What's your hyper focus?
Well, funnily enough, my hyper focus is that it's similar-ish to yours, that it's quite footwear focused, but I've become a
Mm-hmm.
bit obsessed with sandals, and
Mm-hmm.
it basically I'm over this winter period. I'm not even that
Yeah.
interested in spring. I'm in summer in my head now. I've
Yeah.
started shopping for summer like a mad woman. I'm just like, and I think it's because I just think, everyone listening knows that we've had our colours done. We're both autumns,
Yeah.
even though we look
Yeah.
really different. We're both autumns. And I'm like, what am I going to wear in the summer as an autumn? So I've become a bit obsessed with this, Maddie. And so I'm very
What are you gonna
focused
wear?
on what we're going to wear in the summer. Like, what colours are we going to wear in the summer? You can't buy a lot of autumn colours in the summer.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's a
I've
bit
become obsessed.
confusing.
So far, I've bought 2 pairs of sandals and
Yeah.
a load of stuff in the sales, all summer stuff. So yeah, I've just got a summer
We need.
wardrobe building. I'm totally hyper focused on it. Like when I'm shopping now, I'm in summer. Yeah.
You're in summer. I know.
Yeah.
We've got a bit of time to
Like a
wait. I
pair of
did
sandals
buy.
and I've
Yeah. What kind of sandals did you get?
have you heard of Arizona Love?
No.
Oh God, I love them. I bought a pair last
Arizona
year
love.
in the platforms, and
Mm.
I bought them this year in more walkable ones. They're like
Mm-hmm.
Tevas, but they have all this like material wrapped round and knotted.
Yeah.
Google them. Arizona Love, they're fabulous.
Right.
So I've got
Okay.
a
I'll
leopard
get on
print
them.
pair that I bought last year, platform,
Cute.
and I've just bought a pair that have got like lime green bandana material tied around them. I got them in a sale. These sandals are
That
a
sounds nice.
fortune. They're like, I mean, well over 100 quid. And I got a
Yeah.
pair for 20 quid in the sale the other
Yeah.
day.
I love it. I got some. Do you know Varley, my favourite elevated loungewear
Yes,
brand?
elevated loungewear.
Which which I've now got my bestie Nikki onto because we went to the in-person shop in Chelsea and I was like, feel everything. So we just walked around and felt everything.
Yeah,
And
did you
I
buy it
got a
all?
pair of we got the same top and I was like, can I get the same one because it's really nice. So we go to the gym sometimes together and Pilates and I'm like, oh my god, we're matching. But Nikki's like a foot smaller than me, so it just looks really funny.
Yeah, it doesn't look the
Um
same.
no, we're not like matching, but I got a
I think
pair
gym
of
wear doesn't matter either.
doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's not like it's a formal wear or at a wedding.
Sling it on.
But I got a pair of joggers. I think they're normally like they're pretty spenny, like 100 quid, and I got a pair of them for 50 quid on Vintage, which I think is a good deal because they're
Feels good, doesn't
so.
it?
Yeah, I saw my auntie the other day, and she gave us a hug, and she went, "Ooh," she was like, "What's this?" So I go to the gym, and I'm like, "Feel my top." I'm like, "Come and feel me, guys. Come and touch me jacket." But I did a bit of a haul when I came back from the physical shop because it's quite little. It didn't have loads of stuff in, but I tried some styles on. I was like, right, I'm going to go buy them online. And I did actually get a pair of shorts in like one of our colours. So it's like a kind of, obviously I like the orangey, rusty orange colours. And then a jumper, which is like, it's going to sound probably horrible, but it's like a big hole knit. So do you know, it's like you can see
Yeah,
through it
yeah,
kind
no,
of
I know what
thing.
you
What do you call like
mean.
crochet sort of thing? It's like
Yeah,
Harry
yeah,
Styles vibes. And
yeah.
it's like a similar colour to that. And I thought on the model she had like a little bralette thing with that over the
Yeah, you
top
wear a black
and the
vest under that or
shorts.
something, couldn't you?
Aye. Champion. So
That's
that's my
California
first.
vibes, isn't it?
Well, your girl's back in LA
You're
in
wearing that in
April,
LA,
so
aren't you?
I'm now like I need me. So you need to tell me what all the summer stuff, all the summer
Yeah, you're
autumn
building your
colours.
LA wardrobe. I'm just
Yeah,
building my summer wardrobe, but I'm
the
thrilled with my
Manchester
Arizona
summer for
loves.
3 days.
Yes,
Yeah.
so
Well, keep us
not
posted.
so much.
We shall
I
discuss this
shall.
further.
We
All right, my
will.
love.
We will.
Nice to
See you
chat
next
with you.
week.
All right, see you next week, pal. Bye.
See you later, Maddie. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments.
Please support those who support us and check out Timely, who we recommend as our favourite booking system for you. New customers can get 50% off their first 3 months with the code COFFEE50.